Hi everybody, my name is Nikki Clinton and I work for a post-secondary transition program called Clemson Life here at Clemson University. I'm also a graduate student at Clemson working on my master's degree in instructional coaching. I'm also going into my 5th year of teaching. So in this program that I'm in, one of the things that I have learned is that we as teachers don't have the opportunity to really self-reflect and self-assess our teaching practices. Unless you're in a program like Safe T, how are we supposed to just sit back and reflect on our strengths and our weaknesses? Well, in one of my classes, we have this book by Jeff C. Marshall called The Highly Effective Teacher, and within this textbook is a TIPS assessment, which stands for the Teacher Intentionality Practice Scale. You can go online to access this as well, and I highly encourage it. So within the TIPS assessment is a rubric, and you rate yourself on these different areas of your teaching, things like critical thinking and problem-solving skills, and how you motivate your students, and how you make sure that all students are included and engaged, and how do you assess students, how do you provide feedback, do you use technology, and are you interactive? So within there's 7 different tip areas. My lowest was in problem solving and critical thinking skills, which was to no surprise because I teach individuals with intellectual disabilities. So in my mind, a cognitive disability is hard to teach a higher order thinking skill. What I've learned is that that is false, and that it is not doing my students justice and allowing them to be the best, most successful individual that they can be. So in this area, I have really spent a lot of time digging and researching and learning and trying to grow myself and also my students that they're able to practice these skills. So when you think of critical thinking skills, it's really exploration, looking beyond what you would normally, your thinking style would be. It's asking questions, it's making decisions and taking multiple input and data and stepping back to look at multiple perspectives before coming to a conclusion, before making a decision. And these skills they don't come easily to, 1, individuals with disabilities, but 2, individuals as a whole. So a strategy that I have incorporated in my classroom is something that was developed in 1985 by Dr. Bono in his book called These 6 Thinking Hats. So Charles Kavunja in 2015 wrote an online journal, and it's titled Using De Bono's 6 Thinking Hats Model to Teach Critical Thinking and Problem-Solving Skills Essential for Success in the 21st Century Economy. And in his article, he talks about the gap in teaching these problem-solving, critical thinking, creative thinking skills, how it has been eliminated from curriculum, and how students don't have the tools to go implement this in real life, which I have found to be very accurate and very true. So he presents this strategy, De Bono's 6 Thinking Hats, in the form of a metaphor of using 6 different hats that represent 6 different ways of thinking. So the red way of thinking is using your emotions, your gut feelings. The white hat thinking is collecting data, studying information, taking notes. Yellow, what are the positives and the benefits? Black, looking at the negatives and the weak areas. The green, the creative hat, thinking of ideas, coming up with proposals, and the blue is the planning and the next steps and what the process is going to look like to make it really happen. So how can you do this in your class, and how have I done this in my class? So in my class, some different ways that we have done this is by actually using baseball hats or whatever hats that you have. Bring in your own hats, have your students bring in their own hats, or you can use any sort of object that would represent this color and this idea of thinking. I would encourage you to post it up in your classroom so that students can refer to it, they can become familiar with it. And then as you're introducing it, make sure you're modeling it, and you're probing questions to get them thinking in that style. So you'll have to do a lot of digging and a lot of practicing to learn the different hats. So in my class, we have done it where a student might come up, I might give them a challenge or a question or a problem, and they are given a hat and they have to think in that specific way. I might have them do 2 specific ways, or I might have them do all 6. So you can do it individually like that, or you can do it as a group. So I've had 6 different students come up to the classroom, put on 6 different colored hats, and verbalize their way of thinking through that hat color and what that hat means, to kind of show the different ways of thinking. Again, you can use multiple different ways, different objects. You could have your students make paper hats, lots of different ways. So I would love to give you an example of how this might look in the classroom. So my students, because I teach students with intellectual disabilities, it's a lot of everyday life skills, functional academics, and specifically in my role is job coaching. So one of the things that could very well happen to my students is getting fired, and it has happened. So I'm going to go through each of the colors and what it would look like to think through each of the hats. Oh no, my mom is going to be so mad at me, and my job coach is going to be so mad, and I'm just not even going to get to see my friends at work anymore. Okay, so I got fired because I was late. Being late's a work violation. Being fired means I'm going to lose privileges. Being fired means I'm not going to get to see my friends. It's not going to look good for me in my next job. Woohoo! I don't have to wake up for work every day now. I can sleep in, I can eat breakfast, and I can watch TV all day. Woo! Now I can't pay my bills. Now I can't buy groceries. What am I gonna eat? Now I have to look for a new job. Shoot. Okay, so maybe I could go out in the community and just see if anyone's hiring. Or maybe I could just ask all my friends how they follow the rules and get some help so I don't break rules again. Okay, this doesn't fit. Oh, it's blue. So first, I could apologize to my boss, write him an apology letter, and thank him for the opportunity. Second, I could update my resume. Third, I could set up an interview, or I could ask my job coach to help me set up an interview. Fourth, I could practice interview questions, and instead of watching TV, I could practice interview questions. 5, I could go to interviews. All right, so that's just, if I were to have students stand up, that might be the 6 different ways that they would think. Initially, they would only think one way, which is, yay, I don't have to work. Or, oh no, my mom's gonna be mad. But it really challenges them to think beyond that, and which, when it comes time having practiced this, their brains might naturally go to those places. So I would encourage you to incorporate this into your classroom in whatever style works for your classroom. And I would think and hope that it benefits your students and that you see growth in your students in this. And I also encourage you to go take that TIPS assessment by Jeff C. Marshall online and continue to grow your teaching craft as I continue to grow my teaching craft, and just help each other as educators. And go Tigers!